What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day. John the Video Guy here. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 10 books that I've read that I found really inspiring. You know, I have a lot of info in them and things you can really learn just to build your career or maybe yourself just as a person. And these are 10 personal books that I've read that have really helped me. And I'm going to share them with you guys, and maybe you can consider reading them or looking into them. But these are my personal 10 favorite books that have really helped me in my career. Before we get started, feel free to hit the like button. It really helps my channel out. And with that, let's dive in with book number 1. So these books aren't in order, and what I'm going to be basically doing is just going over them one at a time, what they're about, and kind of what I learned most from them. So the first book is called The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. And Simon wrote a lot of books that I've read, such as Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last. I think that's what the name of the book is. But this book, I think, is one of his most recent books, and it's basically all about, you know, thinking of life and business as an infinite game compared to a finite game, which has a distinct end. And having and adopting an infinite game mindset kind of helps you, you know, in the long term to perpetuate the game and to kind of think that way in business and life, as opposed to actually thinking like you can win life or win business. So how this has helped me is kind of just focus on the long-term impact. You know, everything that I do, either personally or professionally, I'm thinking about the impact on what it will have in the future, not necessarily like short-term gains. You know, this kind of goes with my my personal brand, you know, the John the Video Guy brand. That's why I started my website, YouTube channel, and different things, as well as my career. You know, I'm always not really short-sighted on like, you know, what I'm going to get in the next day, week, or month. You know, I'm kind of thinking about the impact that I'm having on other people's lives. And, you know, this book kind of has shaped my mindset around that. All right, and on to book number 2. And before we go any further, I just want to say if you're interested in any of these books I'm going over today, they'll be down in the video description. Feel free to go check them out if you're interested. Now, book number 2 is Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. A Path to Profits, Passion, and Purpose. And I actually picked this book up last year, and I looked up Tony Hsieh, and I was very surprised. He actually passed away like shortly after I read the book. And, you know, there's a lot of good value in this book. And it's really about almost basically his life, how he started as an entrepreneur, you know, just back in school, selling things, and how he has developed his businesses, his first business, and then eventually Zappos and the acquisition with Amazon. So he kind of goes through, you know, his process basically from start to finish and really what he's learned. And for me, from what I got out of the book is really building a culture first mentality. And really at the end of the day, money is just a tool. It's just an asset to kind of deliver happiness, you know, or find happiness. So, you know, in the book, he goes over his first business, and, you know, at the end, when it became successful, he had all this money, but he didn't really feel happy. And in his second business, or later on when he developed Zappos, you know, he really led with culture first, and it really drove that company to become really successful to the point where it got acquired by Amazon. So that's what I learned from the book is really money's a tool, but it really comes down to building culture first and really just being happy with the work that you do day in and day out. All right, so the next one, I actually know the author personally. Her name is Leah Burtis, and she wrote her first book, Conscious Empowerment. And I have to say, I'm really proud of Leah. It's a really great book. And what it's about is it's basically, she interviewed over 30 women and developed a book around the strategies to build consciousness and women empowerment. And people ask me, you know, John, you're a guy, what do you get out of it? And I think from my perspective personally, I think just reading these stories and really hearing from all these different women, you know, you can kind of get the perspective of the struggles that they go with and kind of learn and be aware of like everyone comes from a different background, different struggles, and you know, we all kind of have to have and develop an open mindset. So it's a really valuable book, even for guys or really anyone, really. So I'll link her book and her business down below. Feel free to go check them out. All right, so the next one is called The Power of Habit Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business. So by Charles Duhigg. And this was one of the first books I read. And what's so funny about reading books, and I should have said this at the beginning, is, back in school, I never really liked reading. I dreaded English class. And as an adult now, it's weird. I've been reading a lot more books. And I think this book is a good example of the power of reading and understanding things. This book is all about the process of habits, how they're developed and controlled, and the different triggers on the habit loop. And I think psychology books are really valuable in general, but specifically to this book is that you can really learn to control your behaviors. So, he breaks down how habits are developed, what triggers them, and I think just being aware of how this system works, you can really control habits that you don't like, and maybe even change habits that you have, and maybe start developing better habits. So it has helped me understand it and kind of change some habits for myself. So feel free to check this book out if you want to learn more about habits. It's a really good read. All right, so the next book is called This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. And this book is really good. He wrote a lot of books, and this is actually the only book I read from him. And I think it's one of his latest books. So definitely a really good read. And I think the number one thing I got from this book is just the thought that people like me do things like this, and just kind of following that mindset when it comes to marketing. Kind of want to narrow down and find your niche audience. So definitely check that book out. All right, so the next book is called The 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness by Jim Rohn. So Jim Rohn's a famous business entrepreneur, businessman. And he wrote that book, I think, back in 1985. So, it was written a while ago, but it's still a really solid read. And basically there's the 7 strategies to wealth and happiness. Doesn't get better than that, guys. And a lot of it's very valuable. I think pretty much the whole thing I got from this book is it really comes down to yourself. You kind of have to invest in yourself, and it really comes down to you wanting to become a better person in order to achieve your dreams. So, really at the end of the day, you're the only one that can control yourself, and you have to put in the effort to change and get what you want in life and business, basically. All right, so the next book is called Presence by Amy Cuddy. And this is a book I read actually a while ago. And what it does is she broke down kind of like different ways to build confidence, she breaks down like power poses and really how to develop confidence, speaking in front of others and being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So it's a really good read. Highly recommend it if you are looking to kind of gain more confidence, or maybe you have to talk to a lot of people or be in uncomfortable situations. All right, so the next book is called Turn the Ship Around by Lieutenant David Marquette. And what this book is about is how he took a nuclear-powered submarine and changed it from the worst performing to the best performing submarine in its class. And the thing I took away from this is really, there's a lot of good leadership things in this book that you can take away from it. But I think what it comes down to is it's about empowering everyone, not just the people at the top. You have to kind of designate and kind of distribute accountability among all the employees, not just leadership or management. And when all the employees in a company or in a business or organization or even on a submarine get together and are accountable for their actions, you can see amazing things happen. So that's the key takeaway from this book. Highly recommend it if you're in a leadership position or looking to become a better leader. All right, so the next one is really the only art or design book that I'm going to cover, but it's a really solid one. I would even recommend, even if you're not in graphic design or video, to read it. It's called Feck I'm going to mess this up. Feck Perfuction by James Victori. I might have to bleep that out because it sounds like I'm saying the F word, but I'm not sure. I think a lot of people don't know how to say this. But this is the book. It's linked down in the video description below. And, James Victori is a creative director. And, being a creative director myself, I learned a lot from this book. And it was really inspiring how vulnerable he was, just sharing his story and, kind of how he is, why he is the way he is, and just really being yourself, I think the number one line from his book that I really liked was, what made you weird as a kid makes you great today as an adult. So, it's just kind of taking that mindset and, just being true to yourself. There's a lot of good tidbits in this book. All right, and then number 10, I saved the most like dramatic one for last, or the most deep book for last, is called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So this is the book, and what this book is about a Holocaust survivor, going through the Holocaust and how he made it through. And it's a really eye-opening book. I mean, if you can, I recommend reading this for really anyone. You can just learn so much, and what I got out of it is just like, I'm just so thankful for being alive, having what I have, And in this book, he goes deep onto thought and like meaning, and he compares the people that didn't make it in the Holocaust to the people that did make it out, and he found that himself and the others that made it kind of had like a purpose or a higher meaning. What made him get through it was his pursuit of seeing his wife and his family outside of the Holocaust, that one day they will be reunited, after this great devastation. And he kind of goes into that, where a lot of the people that kind of gave up and wasn't able to withstand the torture, and that didn't have a purpose, to push forward and to get through that, unfortunately did not survive. And yeah, this book is really deep, really powerful, and definitely on this list. So there you go, guys. Thanks so much for watching this video. That's the top 10 books that I have read that have really shaped who I am today. Feel free to drop a comment if you have a favorite book you want to share. I'd love to hear from you. And, I put together a playlist. If you want to learn more about career building, different career things, kind of like this, but, I'll link a playlist right up here. Feel free to go check it out. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.